Radhe Radhe. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. May this be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. Now, as we wait for our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being a welcoming, all-inclusive environment open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, orientation, ethnicity, belief system, whether your big toe is bigger than the toe next to it on your foot or not. Anything in which we may be divided on the surface, let us be united at heart. And hello, Simone. And thank you, Storm, for blessing us so early on with a heartbeat. Radhe Radhe. Hello, Natty. May we come together as fellow spiritual seekers to uplift each other, share positive sentiments, and relate in one another's experiences. We all are in this together, aren't we? We have awoken on this giant moist rock hurling through the void. Let us be there for one another. And I trust that my guests who are arriving now are feeling as well as they can, given whatever circumstances they may be finding themselves in at this time. And hello, Asma, and thank you for your heartbeat. Jai Sita Ram. And thank you, Usha, for your rose, finger heart, and heart me as well. I did say moist. And namaste, Chloe. Hello, Anthony. Hello, Katrina. You share that you've missed me. Well, I am here for you now. And I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Natty. Now I have a question of the day for you all, if you are interested. As you know, I like to start my lives with a question, and then a short reading, and then we can open the floor up to Q&A on science, philosophy, spirituality, mathematics, anything which gets us into the heart of life. My question for you today is, what is your message for everyone here? Consider all the people that are joining, probably randomly scrolling on TikTok, and then suddenly they find themselves here. What would your message be to them? What would you want them to hear coming into this live? One step at a time, says Brandon Rogers. One step at a time. I like that. Welcome, says MJ, and you are welcome. Katrina, you share that life is not about how much we have grown, but how much there is to grow. And, if I may add, how we are already growing. Take it one step at a time, continues Brandon. Tat Tvam Asi, says Sky Guardian, that thou art. I'm proud of you, shares Asher. Will shares, don't just live your life, experience it. Asma shares, take care of yourself. And thank you, Jennifer. Much love to you. Alec, you ask, can I meditate some insane luck for you tonight? Like the odds need to be in your favor. Hella. I may not be able to influence what comes to you, but perhaps I might be able to inspire in you that whatever comes, good luck or less, that you will be able to face what comes and be courageous enough in spite of the challenges. That much I can do. And Hanaki, you share. Keep loving, helping, and supporting people. Deborah, you share. You are worthy. So important to hear. And Hobo Circus, registered trademark, you share that everything you do is absolutely meaningless, but it's immensely important that you do it. Nish, you share. You are unique from every other person, and that's so special. Usha, you share. Choose your battles. And thank you, B525, for your rose. Nick, you share. Practice makes perfect. I like that. And Goka Sky, you share. Enjoy little things. Manal, you share. As Reggie Watt said, or Reggie, I'm not sure, said in his song, Apple Song, just be happy and do everything with love. Well, I love that. Brandon, you share. Listen to the ways of Yeb. If I am helpful, if I am not, then go somewhere else. But thank you. Keeping it wheels, you share. Give yourself permission to not do that one thing you are stressed about doing, at least for now. I love that. Yeah. Take some time for yourself. MJ, you share. You are love. Devin, you share. Compliment yourself every day. And thank you, Rainbow, for your rose. Radhe, Radhe. Lauren, you share. Small, consistent actions leads to growth. Hello, recorded from Void. Fat Cat Weaves, you share. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Sometimes you'll do both. Ragnhildur, you share. You are loved. You are, it's true. Good evening, Megil, or Maggie. I just read the I in your name as an L. My apologies. Megil. Good evening, Maggie. Anthony, you share. Honestly, love one another. One day at a time. Do what you can for someone else when you can. So precious. And thank you, Liz, for your heartbeat. Jai Sitaram. Chloe, you share. Give yourself praise over small stuff like getting out of bread. I just read that wrong. Getting out of bread? What are you all, mice? Sleeping in loaves of bread? No, give yourself praise over small stuff like getting out of bed. That's what I meant to read. Yes, thank you, Chloe. Jay Nipes, you share that your message is surrender to the idea whatever happens, good or bad, is in your best interest. Now, if you do that, you win life. Be kind to others, says Hanaki. Strung by Stacy, you share, everything is gonna be alright. Asher, you share, don't beat yourself up over little things. I like that. I say, don't beat yourself up at all. You're supposed to be your greatest ally, not your own bully. And Tatvamasi, thank you for your quintet of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Rainbow, for your rose too. Peanut Puffs, you ask, what are my thoughts on AI? I see a lot of potential there to do big things. And we can talk more about that in a little bit. Salam, Liz. Now, there are so many wonderful messages to others that are making me happy to read. Anna, you share, for instance, time will pass and you'll get through the struggles you're facing right now. And MJ, you share, if they are feeling bad or anxious, remember that this too shall pass. And Esther, you share that your message is, let love rule. And Rainbow, you share that your message is, right, care, show your love while you can. I like that. And hello, Macy. Or Macy, perhaps it is better pronounced. Love always rules. And Strung by Stacy, you share that imagine you are speaking to your 7-year-old self when you talk to you. I love that. And I love that as well. How do I pronounce your name? Al-Shush. Al-Shushwantari. You share, there are no others. There is a self in you, the very same kind of self in everyone else. And Rainbow, you share, we are all here to come and go, to experience and witness. So if we stayed when someone passed, you stayed to remember. I love that. It's wonderful. Now, thank you everyone for exploring this question of the day with me. Although there are many answers that I'm sure I could read, and many answers that will keep on coming if I keep reading. Let us move on to our next segment. And thank you, Esther, for your rose as well. Jai Sitaram. I am so grateful for all the love that all of you have here to share with everyone. And if any of you joined while we were reading out those aloud, remember that those answers were for you. After I begin my lives with the question of the day, I like to read a short reading. Yesterday, we finished our latest book, which was Roar of the Ganges by Swami Tadatmananda. There are still a few pages left to read, although we finished the last chapter. There is an afterword, some further information, and a section about the author, which we can read. But let us save that for the end of this live. And now let us begin an entirely new book. This book is called In Love at Ease. It is also gifted to me by Sky Guardian. It is from the BAPS, which is an organization that revolves around bhakti, devotion, seva, selfless service, and it was created after a great being had incarnated at the turn of the 19th century, known as Swaminarayan. That organization had a series of successors. One of those successors was Pramukh Swami Maharaj, who is pictured here. And this is everyday spirituality with such a great being. Pramukh Swami Maharaj ended up leaving his body, and the current successor is Mahant Swami Maharaj, who I have had the honor of receiving blessings from. The BAPS is the childhood sampradaya of Sky Guardian, who has sent this book to me for us to read. And so today we will just be reading the introduction. Well, not the literal introduction yet, but some introductory words like a note from the author, a list of common Indic words in the text which can serve as a reference for later, as well as a preface. Sky Guardian has also volunteered to clip out the reading segments, so if ever you are watching this playlist and you would like some reference on the Indic words, you can always come back to this part where we go through. So, let us read the note from the author. The Swaminarayan Sampradaya was founded by Bhagwan Swaminarayan or Sahajanand Swami at the turn of the 19th century. He was born in 1781 in Chapaya, a small village near Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh, India. He left home at the age of 11 and traveled across the subcontinent for 7 years to engage with diverse people and religious communities. In Gujarat, he started a spiritual and social reform movement that eventually shaped modern Hindu religiosity and broader Indic spirituality in India and the diaspora. One of the many worthy lines of succession, one of the more prominent ones, is through a lineage of spiritual gurus, that is to say, spiritual masters. Gunatitanand Swami was the first, followed by Bhagatji Maharaj, Shastraji Maharaj, and Yogiji Maharaj. Pramukh Swami Maharaj was the fifth and arguably the most significant spiritual successor in this lineage. Mahant Swami Maharaj is the sixth spiritual successor and, at the time of reading, current guru. The objective of this publication is to make the life of Pramukh Swami Maharaj accessible, without presuming much familiarity with Swaminarayan or Hindu terminology, and Gujarati vocabulary on the reader's part. I have therefore tried to use English translations wherever possible. This is tricky since his stories are embedded in a particular cultural and geographical context. Gujarat and Gujarati are central to experience, especially for understanding theology, ritual, and customs. I therefore occasionally use the original Indic terms. Since I chose not to include a glossary in this book, listed next are words that appear frequently in the text. When I use an Indic word, I provide an English translation, and in parentheses, I italicize it the first time it appears. When necessary, I have given a more detailed explanation or description of an Indic term or tradition in a footnote for the reader's reference. As a native speaker of Gujarati and a trained scholar of Indic languages and religions, I fought my initial impulse to use diacritic notations to transliterate Gujarati words. Though this usually helps the reader with pronunciation, it burdens the text visually and makes it harder to follow. For this reason, I have avoided it completely in the book. The names of bhaktas, devotees, in this book are followed by honorifics commonly used in Gujarat and the Swaminarayan community. I use bhai, brother, when referring to men, and bain, sister, when referring to women. I grew up in the community and have looked up to and learned from many of the persons mentioned in this book. I find it discourteous to address them just by their first names. I reference two sacred texts throughout the book, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, attributed to Veda Vyas, which is a part of the Mahabharata. The text records the dialogue between Sri Krishna Bhagavan and Arjuna on matters of deep Indic philosophy, that is to say, on the Atman, the self, karma, action, bhakti, devotion, and jnana, experiential spiritual wisdom, and is one of the most widely read sacred Hindu texts. The Vachanamrut, which we are also reading during our lives that I have here, the canonical text of the Swaminarayan community, records the religious discourses between Bhagwan Swaminarayan and his disciples, occurring between 1819 and 1829, which were the last 10 years of his life. The text was compiled by four of his senior disciples, Muktananda Swami, Gopalananda Swami, Nityananda Swami, and Shukananda Swami. Early manuscripts of the compilation were presented to and approved by Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Finally, the bhaktas, devotees, within the bochas, I'm always gonna have trouble, I think, with what BAPS stands for, the Bochasanwasi Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sanstha, also known as the BAPS Swaminarayan Sanstha, or BAPS for short, and the broader Hindu community address Pramukh Swami Maharaj with various names and titles. It can be confusing for those who have not heard them used in different contexts. I simplify this for the reader by using the following names and titles: Pramukh Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and Swami Rishi. When addressed by those outside the community, His Holiness is often called Swamiji. Ji and Shri are both honorifics that serve the same purpose. I chose to follow the convention from within the community for uniformity and mostly refer to him as Swami Rishi. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Swami Shri, not Swami Rishi. Rishi is an ancient Vedic seer, often attributed to the works of the Vedas. My mind read Swami Shri as Swami Rishi, but it's Swami Shri. On the rare occasion that I must reference other names in the description of specific incidents, I use his initiation name, Narayan Swarup Das Swami, his childhood name, Shantilal, and Papa, a name commonly used by his disciples and those in Gujarat to display affection towards him. Now, on to the list of common Indic words in the text, and then we'll read the preface as well. The first is Arti, worship ritual of waving lighted wicks before sacred images. Atman, the self, soul, inner self, also Atma. Bhajan, which is to worship, devotional songs. Bhakta is a spiritual aspirant, a devotee. Bhakti, which is devotion itself. Darshan, which is viewing or beholding of a spiritual figure or deity with reverence and devotion. There's Dharma, which is the codes of social and civil conduct. Guru, a spiritual master, one who leads to enlightenment by imparting spiritual wisdom. Jnana, which is experiential spiritual wisdom. Katha, spiritual discourse. Kirtan, devotional poem and music. Mandir, a Hindu house of worship. A murti, a sacred image of the divine. Prasad, food sanctified by being offered to God, also prasadi. Puja, personal worship ritual performed in the morning, or any act of worship or ritual. Sabha, spiritual assembly. Sadhu, a monk or a holy person, ascetic or renunciate, or even just a truthful person. And seva, selfless service without expectation for reward and recognition. Satsang, the practice of spirituality, associating with the Guru, fellow devotees, one's inner self, and the sacred scriptures of the fellowship. Literally means the company of or association with the truth. And finally, Swami, a monk, ascetic, or renunciate, or knower of one's inner self. It's an honorific title. Jai Swaminarayan. Now, I recognize that this preface is actually a little longer than I anticipated, so we'll pause our reading there for now, and tomorrow we'll read through the preface and hopefully begin chapter 1, the introduction as well. But as I said before, later on in this live, we'll read through the conclusion, some of the afterwords of another book that we were reading, or the Ganges. But I thank you all for listening thus far. When ending a book and starting a new one, we do have to go through some formalities in the transition, which I trust you understand. So thank you. And thank you for listening. And thank you, Babiso, for your heart me, pair of team bracelets, and a cheer you up. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Rainbow, for your rose. Jai Sita Ram. And Pantagor, thank you for your heart me. And thank you, Liz, for the pinch face. Squish, squish. Now we may open the floor up to questions and answers. I saw that we got some questions as we were reading. Liz, you asked, why can't you ever mess with the face? I'm sorry, I don't know. Maybe it is because I am on my laptop streaming and not my phone directly. I'll check with the options so I can make sure that you really get the best visuals. Punching the air. There, I can pinch my cheeks for you though. Murgle Grump, you ask, what is my ultimate secret to happiness in life? I think my ultimate secret to happiness in life is that there are only two things that we experience. There's a good moment, or there's a potential for a good moment. And both have good in them. A good moment is very obvious. It's easy to see the good in a good moment. But other moments, it's hard to find the good. We might label them as bad. But bad is a kind of impatient term. Because what is bad is just that which is yet to be good. The good is still there, it's just unfolding. Like for instance, when we're very sad. When you're crying, you might say this is a bad moment. But it has the potential to be very good. You are processing your emotions, and the goodness is unfolding with each tear that you cry. More generally, regardless of the situation that you find yourself in, goodness is always unfolding. If we have the foresight to recognize how it is unfolding for our benefit, then you will be happy in all moments because you will find goodness everywhere. This takes a lot of practice. We have to be curious and courageous to try to find happiness when it is not obviously a part of the moment. And a lot of trial and error. But it gets easier as we continue to apply more effort in that direction. Bex, you shared that you had a cry today. Very healing. I am happy to hear that you found some healing moments during those shedding of tears. It's wonderful. And happy Friday, Michael. And thank you for your rose and heart me. Ariom Tat Sat. And Nunya, thank you for your heart me. A Gigi. And a tiny. Yippee! And thank you, Rensky, for your rose as well. Radhe, Radhe. Gwim Weeper, you ask, what should you do if you feel endless need for vengeance? Recognize that if you have enemies, the best thing that you can do for vengeance is to become successful yourself. To become happy and so peaceful in spite of all the reasons not to. That is the most powerful kind of vengeance. It requires even more bravery than that which will inflict pain on others. By being a shining role model in the dark, you become a blinding light for those who look poorly upon you or have in the past. Recognize that what you ultimately want is happiness alone, and that happiness can only be found by forgiving and letting go. That forgiving and letting go is not a defeat. That takes a lot of bravery. You become ever victorious the more you are able to relinquish these limiting thoughts. And that truly is an inspiration. Radhe, Radhe, Margot Grump. You share that I seem energized today. It's very nice. Oh, thank you. And thank you, Meh, it's Pidge, for your heart me. Jai Sita Ram. And thank you, Dan How You, for your heart me. Hariom Tat Sat. Vanessa, you ask if I can give advice for letting go, please. It's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? Everyone says, just let go, let go. And so here we are. Okay, I want to let go. And then nothing happens. The first practical step we can take is to breathe. This is true for everything. The inhale represents the ability to take on new experience, and the exhale represents letting go of old experience. So there is an intimate connection with letting go and your breath. Perhaps you might sharply be inhaling, and you are not giving enough attention to a nice, slow, relaxed exhale. Having bravery on the inhale and relaxation on the exhale. That can help in letting go tremendously. And once you begin to let go, you start to immediately notice the positive effects it has on your whole system. My goodness, it just feels better to not be bothered. You know what? I deserve to not be bothered. This is what you tell yourself. They don't deserve to bother me. On the inhale, I deserve to not be bothered. On the exhale, they don't deserve to bother me. You keep doing that, I guarantee in a few minutes, a new idea will take you to something more uplifting. And thank you, John F., for your rose. Radhe, Radhe. Yeah, you like that, Aquarius lady? It's good to remember that letting go has nothing to do with validating how others have hurt you or invalidating your own experience. It's all to do with what you need. You're from Canada too, Logan. That's cool. I am on the West Coast. Big Dog, you ask for advice for controlling toxic, impulsive thoughts. Look at it this way. All thoughts are impulsive. All thoughts have an advertisement that goes along with them. A thought arises, and then it starts selling itself to you. Here's why you should engage in me. And then there's all these promises that it makes. The thoughts are like politicians. They go on and on and on about why you should give energy to them. They have all these promises, and they never fulfill their promises. The nature of thoughts is that they're there to provoke you, to get you interested. But you become a master over your own mind when you hear the mind talk. But you don't seriously consider engaging in any of them, because you know yourself to be beyond the mind. In other words, don't take the mind seriously. You know, there was a meme I saw a few years ago that said, don't trust your thoughts after something like 9 p.m. Don't trust your thoughts after 9 p.m. And I was thinking, it's very true. Why is it that after dark, I'm always thinking about terrible things? In the morning, I don't seem to have the energy to do so. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, 9 p.m.? Don't trust your thoughts after 9 a.m. Don't trust your thoughts, period. The mind's always talking. But have you noticed, the moment that you're really needed in a decision, like let's say you hear something scary in your house and you're supposed to be home alone, suddenly the mind, it leaves the building. It's always talking itself up, but when something serious happens, the mind goes, no, you decide. Just pure action without thought, don't rely on me. The mind becomes very humbled that way. Now, as much as we can talk schmack about the mind, it does have a use. And there is a way to use it. But we have to change our relationship with it. Instead of us being servants of the mind, let the mind be servants of us. The mind itself must awaken to the fact that it's not really the one in control. The big man here is you, as the consciousness. And the consciousness right now is identified with the mind, and therefore whenever the mind is thinking, the consciousness falsely believes that it's the one thinking. And the mind doesn't know that you've made this mistake. It keeps on thinking. It has to become aware of the fact that it can be dangerous for it to think certain thoughts when there's someone listening and identifying with every thought. And at some point the mind must go, I'm so sorry, consciousness. This whole time I've been blabbing, and I haven't realized that you haven't been very appreciative of my blabbing. How can I help you, O consciousness, think good thoughts that express your best intentions, that bring out your best potential? And then you begin to guide the mind, bringing your awareness to what you truly value. And hello, Gentry Honey. And hello, Dmod. And Tatmamasi, I like the way you put that. It's all permutations of what could happen, but reality could be opposite. We still act at the moment. It's such a good word you've chosen, permutations. I like that. Yeah. We can only infer how this moment will unfold based on our own experiences. Thus, all our thoughts are really just permutations of the past. Now, if our mind was really so good at predicting the future, then we'd never be surprised by anything. Our expectations would align with reality. And yet, the mind is laughably bad at having its expectations fulfilled. I think every day you will be surprised by something new that you didn't think could happen, would happen, or should happen. Having humility in the mind is, I think, a very important virtue. Cool. You ask, what are my thoughts on irony poisoning? I've never heard of this before. Irony poisoning. Not iron poisoning. Not having too much iron. Too much irony. You will have to tell me what this means. I like that, D-Mod. Reality is a virtual simulation of the mind of the eternal sunshine. Such a powerful sentence. And Tattvamasi, you share. We plan and plan. Well, some planning is good, but we trust it will go this way or other. Yeah. Joke's on us. The universe always has a card up its sleeve. And Big Dog, you also ask, what about manifestation with thoughts? The more we want nothing, the more the universe gives us everything. Why? Because human beings are the distribution service of the universe. It relies on us to distribute what we have in our benefit to others who need it most. And the more the universe recognizes, hey, this guy over here, he doesn't want anything for himself. He's the perfect distributor of wealth. Give it all to him. And thank you, Isabella, for your trio of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Andrew, you share that someone once told you humility is a weakness. In the world it can be, but in spirit it is a strength. Oftentimes what is good in the world is not good for spirit, and what is good for spirit is not good in the world. In the world, confidence is key. Everyone says this, because it's true. When you are going for a job interview, for example, you are much likelier to get it if you have the confidence that you will. Spiritually, however, it is just the reverse that is true. The more we feel like we don't know what we're doing, that we have so much more that we could be doing, that we don't know if we are deserving of our good fortune, then we will succeed. Alright, cool, you share that. Irony poisoning is a term to describe when someone starts out believing something, ironically, but later starts to believe it genuinely. That's awesome. Yes, that's how memes catch on, don't they? We started back in, what was it? I can't remember, 2013 or something, dabbing. It was so funny to dab, but ironically. And then it became genuine. And then it became cringeworthy. It's the life cycle of a meme. Ironic, an ironic expression, then a genuine expression, then a cringy expression. It's the cycle of life. Big Dog, you ask, do I believe we are in Kali Yuga? I think if we were in any other Yuga, we wouldn't have to ask that question. The very hallmark of the Kali Yuga is that no one knows. I see you share. Oh God, not bringing up the dabbing. You repressed that. What we suppress eventually comes to express. Gwym Weeper, you share that you are confident you will turn negativity into positive by preserving land or ocean and the life with it. That is a wonderful ambition indeed to have in the world. I fully support that. And we can mirror that by holding space within ourselves for life to unfold. Preserving all our emotions and feelings just as they are, without need to demolish them for anything new. Magdalene, you share that you didn't realize until last night, but upon inspecting the pocket Pema Chodron, verse 103 appeared to be folded back without your doing. It was a pleasant surprise to come across. How lovely is that? I think we read that one before, together. Yes, on Keep Standing Up. It's one of my favorite verses in this book, about how the waves of life will always keep coming, but they won't always keep knocking you to your feet if you just keep standing up. Eventually the waves, they won't have that power over you anymore. And hello, Regina. I am doing well today, thank you. I don't think I've ever been called a shining jewel. It's very lovely. It reminds me of the ancient metaphor in the Vedas of Indra's net. Indra is probably the foremost god in the Vedas. The Lord of Lords, he is called, or the Lord of the world. And the universe is sometimes described as his net, Indra's net, very abstractly, where there is a jewel, a multifaceted jewel at every vertex of this net. And in the reflection of each jewel is the entirety of the universe, every other jewel. It reminds me of Rumi, the great Sufi mystic's poem about how you are not a drop in the entire ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. How can this be true? Well, Indra's net tells us how it is true. Even though we might not literally contain the entire universe within us, we contain the entire reflection of it within us, as does every other jewel in Indra's net. And thank you, Isabella, for your trio of roses. Hariom Tat Sat. Peach iced coffee? Hello, you have a question. If you let go of the outcome of everything, is your desire guaranteed to come to you? Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna talks about renouncing the outcome of the action, it is not guaranteed that the outcome will suddenly become favorable for you. If we believe that by dropping our expectations, that will become sufficient for the expectations to come to fruition, then we still believe that our actions have influence over the experiences of our life. But it is not the action itself. It is our perspective that matters. So what we have to renounce is the idea that we should be getting everything we desire, or shouldn't be getting everything that we desire not to have. Does this mean that happiness is a coin toss and we'll just have to cross our fingers? No, it means that there is a greater kind of happiness that comes even in pleasured moments or pained moments, whether your desires come or not. Instead of worrying about the outcome, we should just do our best in this moment, and then doing our best becomes the source of happiness itself. And that is always available to you. What your best is always changing, and your capacity increases sometimes and decreases other times, even when your capacity has decreased. And your best is very small compared to others or other times, then that is all you have to worry about still. And you can still be just as happy knowing that you are applying all the effort that you can. That kind of happiness is spiritual happiness, where you are not bothered about the results of your actions. You are concerned with the action itself, as the action that is our true ability to express ourselves, our true gift, our true blessing. I'm glad you like the stickers, Sarah Lynn. You like the tiny and a lotus flower. I'm happy to hear that. And thank you, Marcel, for your cloud bread. As always, Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Sarah Lynn, for your heart meal. Big Dog, you ask, do I think I have all my chakras aligned, or are there any I'm struggling to work on? I find that my chakras are sorting themselves out effortlessly. As long as I am engaged in helping others, then everything inside sorts itself out. If we are focused on trying to fix all the energy inside this system, then we are not directing our energy to its full potential, which is to be of service to others. When Neem Karoli Baba, who was the guru of Ram Das, would be asked by Westerners, how do I open my chakras? How do I raise Kundalini? He would say very frankly, feed people, help people, serve people. Now that might sound like he was dismissing the question and saying, hey, that's for the pros, let's start with baby steps. But actually, the chakra business, that's the baby steps. The pros, they know that the greatest spiritual evolution happens in the service we render unto others. For example, Kundalini literally means the dormant feminine energy. If you want to raise your Kundalini, then become motherly. Feed people, nurture people, spread that love like a mother would. Then you take your dormant feminine energy and raise it to the surface so you can apply it. With this understanding, although at first it sounded like he was dismissing the question, actually he was giving the greatest possible answer to the question. Because you directly unlock your spiritual potential by immediately applying it to the service of others. And thank you, Isabella, for your pair of roses. And thank you, Marcel, for another pair of cloud breads also. Hari Om Tat Sat. Gemma, you share. You've been wanting to raise your Kundalini, but it's hard to find good info on it. Indeed it is. The good news is, all of the discourse on what happens energetically inside, that happens naturally. We don't have to put any conscious effort into sorting out the nadis and getting the prana to go up the pingala or ida nadi or the shushuma, whatever it's called. All you have to focus on is being the best version of yourself in this moment. And here's a secret for you. You are already the best version of yourself in this moment. Aha! And thank you, Lucas, for your finger heart. Radhe Radhe. Apple user, you ask, why can you feel energy through your body when you think someone is into you? Maybe you feel your emotions very physically. I know I do. My goodness, it gets me into trouble sometimes. I'll be having a good day, and then I give energy to an anxious thought, and suddenly my body feels terrible. I'm not hungry, I want to throw up. All I did was give energy to one thought, and now my whole body is out of whack. Sometimes I wish I didn't feel my emotions so physically. And thank you, Faye Widge, for your heartbeat. Jai Sitaram. Anthony, you like the way I say Isabella. That's interesting. I've had a couple people say that. We should confer with the Isabellas here. Very true, Orla. Our body never lies, but we must listen to her or become ill. Indeed. Indeed. Dimad, you share that money cannot buy wealth, but you'd settle for a diamond-studded wheelchair. Jade Rex, you ask, how to let go of fear? Perhaps it would be more beneficial to rephrase it like this. instead of trying to let go of fear as if it's something that you're holding on to that you should take and you should throw it that way, a million miles away. Let go of it. Bring it closer. Take it under your wing and ask it questions. Inquire into it with curiosity, openness, love, acceptance, that sort of thing. Alright, fear. What do you have to say? And you imagine that fear talking to you. Give it a voice. Just hear it out. You know, as if it were a friend telling you what they're afraid of. You allow your friend to tell you what they're afraid of, even if you know that they shouldn't be. So you hear the fear, and you go, okay, thanks for sharing. And then the fear goes, what? You're not going to do anything about it? I don't have to. Why not? Because my higher self is informing me at the same time that there's nothing to be afraid of. Now, I am grateful for your words, fear, and I will consider them. And if things change and I feel like I need to act on what you're bringing to the table, then I'll absolutely keep you with me until then. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to listen to my higher self, who is telling me that it's going to be okay. Now your fear might hear this and accept it and dissolve, or your fear might linger, and even if it lingers, that's okay too. So all you have to do is listen to your higher self. The fear can talk all at once, but as long as you keep yourself open to your higher self, then there's no problem. Hello, Madeleines. Strung by Stacy, you ask, how is the Medween going? I like the way you put that. Medween. It's been going very well, thank you. So far. What I've been doing is I've been pretending to take it. As some of you know, I've been tapering myself off my anxiety medication. And this has been a process ongoing for many months, since I want my body to adjust slowly as possible. It's my first week and a bit without taking my anxiety medication. It's going well. What I do in the morning is I pretend to take the pill, and I'm just holding air. And then I say, this represents the relief of anxiety that I can find within. O universe, please guide me to surrender unto you, and may that faith alone replace this pill. And so I'll take that emptiness, and I'll take a sip of water, and I'll feel like I've taken my pill for today. Well said, Nikki. Placebo. One of my favorite bands. Now, of course, I do feel a lot more, what's the word? Sensitive to my emotions. But that's okay. being sensitive by itself is not necessarily a bad thing. It's the reaction to everything that we're sensitive for that might be overwhelming. And I've been learning a lot about how to manage my boundaries, understand my own limitations, and come to allow that anxiety to pass and forgive myself for having low moments. And thank you, Nikki. Vachanamrut time, says Sky Guardian. Alright, we shall in a moment. And thank you, Varame, for your heart me. Hariom Tatsa. And Rachel, thank you for your hand hearts and for your 32 roses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Corina, hello. You ask if I have any tips for getting through a really tough time. Recognize that this too shall pass, first of all, and always. Tough times never last. Only tough people last. And the universe isn't gonna give you anything that isn't gonna ultimately benefit you. You will learn from yourself, and you will experience many new things, and that's okay. Your soul is unconquerable, changeless, and eternal. You have gone through tough times before, and it always gets better. That potential for improvement will never leave you. It is your birthright. And I like the way you translate that, G2 Infinity. Tough times is just another way of saying personal evolution. Sometimes that transformation can appear rough on the surface, but inside a kind of softness is developing. But all my best wishes to you during these hard times. And thank you, John F., for your tiny. Yippee! And STRBNY, thank you for your ice cream cone. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, 31 Planes, for your hand hearts. Jai Sitaram. Star Bunny, thank you. I actually wanted to say Star Bunny, but I wasn't sure if that's what it stood for. Actually, my first thought was strawberry, and then Straw Bunny. And thank you, Sazrar, for your heart me too. Now let us read from another section of the Vachanamrut. This is the most important text for the devotees of Swaminarayan. And in this text is a collection of about 300 discourses from the last 10 years of Swaminarayan's life, who was a great being in the turn of the 19th century. His discourses were recorded here in great detail, often giving context to so many spiritual issues, as well as the context of the discussion, where he was located at the time, who was around him, what was he wearing. This text can have a lot of direct terms and not beat around the bush. It can also use a lot of dense Sanskrit vocabulary and other Indic words, so I'll do my best to interpret them. But I'll happily admit when I haven't heard a word before. Today we're reading Gadhada 130. This one is called Thoughts That Leave a Lasting Impression. I think we've all had such thoughts before. Pardon me. On Posh Vadhi the 1st, Samvat 1876, or the 1st of January 1820, Shriji Maharaj was sitting on a large decorated cot on the veranda outside the room facing north, in line with the mandir, temple, of Sri Vasudeva Narayan in Dada Kachar's Darbar in Gadhada. He was wearing a white case and had covered himself with a white cotton cloth. He had also tied a white fato around his head. Around his neck were garlands of white flowers, and tassels of white flowers were dangling from both of his ears. He was also wearing a string of white flowers around his wrists. At that time, while some munis, spiritual aspirants, were singing devotional songs, other munis, as well as devotees from various places, had gathered before him in an assembly. Shriji Maharaj, term of endearment for Swaminarayan, then requested, "Please begin a question-answer dialogue." Thereupon, Dinanath Bhatt asked, "Maharaj, at times thousands of thoughts arise, yet they do not leave a lasting impression in the mind. At other times, however, only an insignificant thought arises, yet it leaves a strong impression on the mind. What is the reason for this? Also, by what means can a devotee eradicate such disturbing thoughts?" This is a very applicable one, I assume. Shriji Maharaj answered, "The reason is the influence of the gunas. Thoughts occurring when tamogun," by the way, the gunas are modes of material existence in some Hindu thought, that everything in material existence operates within three modes: tamas, rajas, and sattva. Tamas is the guna, the mode of darkness, heedlessness, ignorance. It can be in food, it can be in a thought, it can be in an action, it can be in an intention of an action. If the intent is to cause conflict, then it is tamoguna, tamasic. If the thought is to cause provocation, action, passion, then it is rajoguna, rajasic. And if the intention is to cause peace, purity, love, that sort of thing, then it is sattvaguna, sattvic. So, I repeat, Shriji Maharaj answered, "The reason is the influence of the gunas. Thoughts occurring when tamoguna is predominant induce a state similar to that of deep sleep. Therefore, those thoughts do not leave a lasting impression in the mind. When sattva gun prevails, one experiences a state of awareness. So, any disturbing thoughts that occur at that time are dispelled by contemplation. Therefore, those thoughts do not leave a lasting impression either. However, thoughts that arise when Rajogun is prevalent do leave a lasting impression in the mind, the mode of passion. Therefore, the reason some thoughts do leave a lasting impression in the mind and others do not is due to the prevalence of the various gunas. If an intelligent person reflects on this matter and examines their thoughts, whenever they arise, they will be able to recognize which guna is predominant in them at that particular time. However, subtle thoughts that arise repeatedly from moment to moment cannot be grasped by anyone. At the most, someone intelligent like yourself may be able to discern 2, 3, or 4 of the more superficial thoughts that arise during the course of a day. So, if a person examines the predominant guna under whose influence their thoughts arise, and contemplates on and imbibes the spiritual discourse which take place in Satsang, in a spiritual gathering, then the power of practicing Satsang is such that any disturbing thoughts arising under the influence of the gunas are dispelled. Thereafter, becoming free from all doubts, they are able to continuously concentrate on the form of the source, God. Without satsang, however, even if they endeavor in a million other ways, disturbing thoughts and the influence of Rajogun and the other gunas will not be eradicated. Therefore, if someone sincerely practices satsang and reflects upon and tries to imbibe the discourses relating to the source, God, then their vile thoughts are eradicated. In this manner, the influence of satsang is extremely powerful. In fact, no other spiritual endeavor can compare with satsang. And I'll reiterate that satsang means sat sangha. Sangha is a gathering, an association. Sat means true or truth. So satsang is the intention of a communal effort towards spiritual liberation, where you ensure that you keep with you people that uplift you and inspire you. Why? Because thoughts which cannot be eradicated by any other spiritual endeavor can be removed by engaging in satsang. Therefore, one who wishes to rid the mind of base thoughts related to Rajogun should sincerely practice satsang by thought, word, and deed. As a result, those thoughts will be eradicated due to the power of satsang. All right. Thank you everyone for listening to another lovely section of the Vachanamrut. So, here we find the import of satsang, yet again keeping true company, as well as a reminder about the nature of the gunas. And what an interesting idea that is, that the lasting impressions of the mind are made by thoughts that are rajasic in nature, of the mode of passion. Very interesting. J Days, you ask, what shadow work would I recommend people do, and how would I describe it? Our shadow contains all the things in others that we don't want to accept ourselves. Part of psychoanalysis. That which lives in the dark. Whenever we judge a person as good or bad, when we judge them as good, then we're associating with them in some way. We're identifying with them. They say, yeah, that's my kind of person right there. I like their qualities. I would like to have the similar qualities myself. On the other hand, when we judge someone as bad, then we are actually repressing a part of ourselves. Because the truth is that the potential in me is the same as the potential in you. And all of the qualities that arise are different expressions of the same one true self, existing in you and existing in me. So shadow work has a lot to do with acceptance of everyone. Otherwise, we project our own insecurities onto others and then consider ourselves surrounded by versions of ourselves that we don't want to be. The shadow is called such because it lies in the dark. It lies where the light of our awareness does not penetrate. So to befriend the beings that lie dormant in our shadow means to bring the light of your awareness to places that you do not want. That bright love to everyone and everything. How can darkness prevail when we light up everything equally? Now I thank you for sending me some gifts whilst I read earlier. Do allow me the opportunity to extend my gratitude back to you now. Thank you, Saturnus, for an auspicious number of 108 tiny tinies. Yippee! And for your heart me. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. I love that Apple user. Chase butterflies and they fly away. Build your garden and you attract the butterflies. And Shakira, thank you for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, Mrs. Copper Couple. I like that D-mod as well. Start each day with a smile and get it over with. What a curious intention. I kind of like it. And Kelly Spence, thank you for your rose. Radhe Radhe. Strung by Stacy, you share that when people do hurtful things, it's hard to give them the grace you would want. Isn't it? Yet, those that do hurtful things are in the most need of grace. Whether they accept it or not is not something we have control over. We can show our love to those who may need it most, but if they don't want help, what can we do? You know, yesterday I went for a walk, and my walk took me to many places, and one of them was a beach. And on the beach I saw this seagull, and the seagull had this huge thing sticking out of its mouth, and there was no way it was gonna swallow it. I think it had already swallowed part of it and was unable to swallow the rest of it. It might have been like a fish with this huge tail, and the tail was sticking out of its mouth, and it was so big that it couldn't get down. Talk about biting off more than you can chew. Talk about having eyes bigger than its stomach. So I was looking at this seagull, right? Like, if the seagull was open to it, I could help the seagull. But no, it doesn't want to admit that it has a problem. I could say, oh Seagull, this is stuck in your mouth. You're not going to swallow this. And I could approach it. But the Seagull has trust issues. It flies away with each step I take. What am I to do? Do I knock it unconscious and take it out of its mouth? No, at that point, if it's deciding to be in the universe's hands, it's in the universe's hands. I think the same is like people too. Some people don't want to admit that they've bitten off more than they can chew. And we can offer to help and take a step forward. But if they refuse and take a step back, that's your karma then, you know? That gluttonous seagull. Right? It could have been a starfish too, I don't know. Kind of looked like a starfish. I really have no idea. It wouldn't let me get close. Lily, you share that you are echoing a comment by Stephen, whom has a question or a request. That's very kind of you, Lily. Thank you. Let me scroll up to see Stephen. I see you engaged in a conversation. You share that you need to speak with me about Hawaii. Can you consult me sometime? It's important. Absolutely. You're welcome to send a message on my other platforms and I can get back to you after we finish today's Sangha. I don't think today's Sangha will be very long because I may have a phone call afterwards at some point tonight as well. Telegram, Sky Guardian recommends. It's anonymous and I answer. It is true. I do answer there. Otherwise, you are welcome to share your concerns here and we can talk about it publicly, but I also recognize that some matters require some more direct attention. And thank you, Kelly Spence, for your rose. Radhe, Radhe. Sophie, you ask a good question. Why didn't it let me get close? Well, naturally, the seagull is going to be concerned for its greater well-being. Sounds good, Stephen. The pros and cons wasn't worth it for the seagull. Maybe the seagull didn't think it had a problem. And maybe the seagull thought that even if it did, then I could only be hurting it more because it doesn't trust my intentions. Maybe the seagull had bad experience with other people in my position and therefore doesn't want to open up to me. That very same thing could be true for others. Some people aren't ready to admit that we could help them. Or other people who may be ready to admit it are not ready to trust others because they have had experiences which ended up in them creating these expectations in others to hurt them. And both of those things are equally understandable. And in their control entirely to process and work through. Chloe Evans, you share that you can kind of relate to the seagull. Me too. Absolutely. Hello, Mariham. Gaia, you ask, what's my mantra today? If you may ask my affirmation. Well, the mantra that we're going to be chanting at the end today is one for Vasudeva, for the form of Vishnu. It's a rather long one that I haven't memorized, so I'll be reading it with you when we do. And Emily, thank you for your 20 roses a few minutes ago. And another 10 roses I see a moment ago. Radhe, Radhe. And what's my affirmation? Asks Gaia. My affirmation for you is that you've done nothing wrong. You've done only what is within your capacity, guided by your experience. And you are using the outcomes of those actions to now come to an even fuller experience now. And all that is wonderful. Thank you, Kelly Spence, for another rose. And Ron, thank you for your heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sky Guardian, you share. Speaking of phone calls, did your friend update me? You did mention it to him. He did update me, indeed. And he may be free tonight at some point to call, but no pressure on his part. I know that when I get off, it might be rather late for his time zone. Someone helping me maybe get accommodation in India, for those who are curious. Sea Bear, you share that you are fighting with your best friend. How can you feel better? You're allowed to fight with your best friend. I'm sure that everyone here who has a best friend, my goodness, how many arguments have you had with them? If anything, they're your favorite person to have an argument with, because there's trust that we can both hear each other's sides, and there will be a resolution. Disagreements by themselves are not bad, as long as there is a mutual agreement to come to some understanding. As long as that's there, there's no problem. Now, if you're arguing for the sake of disagreeing, for the sake of putting a divide, then it is best to take some space. But if the two of you are rubbing up against each other just by having different experiences of life, and behind that, there still is that understanding that you will come to appreciate each other's perspectives, that I am sure that your friendship will be forged through this experience. On both of your parts, humility will be important in coming to amicable terms. Recognize that some things are not worth it, even if you win the fight. I like what I heard a psychologist once say, that sure, you can beat your wife in an argument, but for what purpose? Now she's mad at you. What's worth more to you? Being on good terms with your wife, or winning the argument? I think most people, when you put it like this, will have to sheepishly admit that being on good terms is more important. Good morning, Gerlin. Hello. And thank you, Crystal, for your finger heart and your rosa. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Jules, Thank you for your heart name and pair of finger hearts. Radhe, Radhe. Gemma, you share that you had a terrible fight with your friend. Then you missed her, so you forgave her easily. Yeah, I've been there. I certainly know what that's like. Sometimes I felt like that in the middle of the argument, where I realized, oh boy, I didn't mean to start this. What have I done? I think the quicker you can come to that, the better it is for everyone. And thank you, Emily, for that tiny a few minutes ago that I had yet to acknowledge. Yippee! And thank you, MJ, for your pair of disco loves. Hariom Tat Sat. It's Lal Goggles. Thank you for your 30 roses. Ortega? You ask, are these streams recorded to view in a later time? Yes, they are. Dimod, you share. If life doesn't break you today, don't worry. It will try again tomorrow. I love your mix of. It's like opto-pessimism. It's not optimistic. It's not pessimistic. It's both. Opto-pessimism. How can you have access to the recordings, Ortega asks. Are they in your TikTok profile? Well, if TikTok would allow me to upload many hour-long videos, I would. Unfortunately, I have to direct you to another platform, which can be tricky to navigate to. But the YouTube channel is called Yamsox Lives. Same username. Space. Lives. It's also the first link in the link tree in my bio, if that's easier for you. Anna, you had asked, do I wonder about my existence since I was a child? I think as children we are always naively curious about everything. And it gets us into trouble. Especially when we see someone, for example, who looks different. You know, how many mothers have had to answer the question, why do they look funny? Why is their skin different? Why is their face different? Why are they in a wheelchair? Kids are always just asking questions. And they don't know that there's a lot of insecurity behind some of those things. And even mentioning it can bring up insecurities for some people. There's so much stigma around it. Now, of course, a child doesn't have such intentions to bring up these things. So we are so curious about people, about places, about things. So curious about everything. I think as a child, I was also curious in some regard why I existed, why the universe existed. But no one really had a good answer. You get stopped very quickly asking such questions as a kid. Even if you ask a physicist your chain of questions can only go so far. Why does the world exist? Well, it is a coalition of space dust that came from a big explosion many billions of years ago. Wow, okay. What was the cause of that explosion? Well, a big star, not so different from our own, blew up. Why did it blow up? Well, at the end of the life, there's so much energy that was inside of it, and it had nowhere else to go. Okay. Why did it have that energy? Well, all things have energy. Where did all the energy come from? It came from the Big Bang. Where did the Big Bang come from? We don't know. But maybe you'll be one of the bright ones that will figure that out someday. We can only question so far until we come up empty-handed. And it goes on. Mind you, as a child, I don't think I was asking such questions. Maybe my inner child now does. And Anna, you share that you've been trying to not think about existent stuff because it actually doesn't matter. Right? You know, just suppose you had the answers to everything. Well, you'd still be here with this body in this society that we've constructed. I remember talking to a coworker about enlightenment, and how the goal of life was to realize the ultimate truth and whatnot. It was a very new concept for him, but yet, like an enlightened being, he replied with the perfect response. So if one does reach this so-called enlightenment, wouldn't life just become a people game? And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I realized he was really right. Sure, you might have the truth of the universe, but a part of you is still going to be human. You still have to interact with all of this humanness, all of these people, and it just becomes a people game. And you're still going to figure out the best way to play the people game, because people are surprising and unpredictable. And thank you, Maya, for your 7 roses a few minutes ago. Radhe, oh Radhe. And Corey W, thank you for your heart me. Jai Sitaram. Guy, you say, okay, on a serious note, what game best describes society? I think society is the game that best describes society. And thank you, Liz, for your beaver and sunglasses. Very cute. Hari Om Tat Sat. And hello, Mermander. You share that you've been working extra for your kitties. That's quite understandable. You are always welcome here. And you are also always welcome to choose your kitties over us. In fact, I would encourage it. They don't have as much time on this planet as we do. I think about that sometimes. When my cat is meowing at me. What do you want? Maybe that meow is saying, hey, I know it's not a good time for you right now to play, but I've only got so many years to live. Even an hour with you is like a whole day for me. A few minutes would be like an hour. Just spend a little time with me, please, before I leave this planet for the next one. And with that thought, how can I refuse playing, even if it's 4 a.m? Liz, you ask, why hasn't my kitty co-hosted with me? To tell you the honest truth, I don't think they like the texture of this couch. When I have a blanket on it, sure, they'll sometimes take a nap on it. But the leather or the fake leather, they just don't like it. And thank you, Haley Queen, for your heart me. Hariom Tatsa. Saturnus, you share that thought has completely spoiled your dog and you are okay with it. Yeah, they get the short life pass. And whenever that card is pulled, they deserve to play it. And thank you, Heaven Bound, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Lissy, you share that your cat just brought a live chipmunk in your house. How do you stop being so anxious about it? Well, what part are you anxious about? The chipmunk or your cat's ability to bring animals in your house? Or both? A new friend. You can say, yippee! Feline, you share that you love cat. I love cat too. You have 4 and work for an association. ARBA. I am sure that it is a nice association, like the SPCA, probably. SPCA? Yeah. And that's very sweet. 31 planes of existence, you ask, who is older and wiser of my 2 cats, Shadow or Sandy? Well, they were womb mates. They have different fathers, but the same mother and the same birth date. So they are the same age. And the same is true for their soul. Shadow is definitely the wiser one. Or that's not fair to Sandy. They both teach me so much. But Sandy is like a fool and Shadow is like a wizard, like a magician. Sandy is just goofy. Shadow's always thinking, you know. You can tell that he's thinking. Some cats, you look between their 2 eyes, no thoughts, no winkles on their brain, smooth brain. Shadow, he's got winkles. He be thinking. Sometimes he be thinking too hard, you know. He'll be standing in a corner. You can just tell that brain is going. And it's like, bro, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Come on, you're a cat. You don't have to be so pensive. What are you philosophizing about? Meanwhile, Sandy is like, I like to eat flowers. Nom nom nom. I'm gonna throw this up later, and my throw up is gonna be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, and all of the colors of the flower petals I'm gonna eat, it's gonna be like a rainbow. Yum, yum, yum. Aquarius lady, you share. Sandy is planning to take over the world. I think Shadow is. Sandy is his accomplice. Sandy just loves eating flowers, though. I cannot stress enough how much he loves flowers. If I'm walking in my backyard with him, if I even walk by a flower bush, he'll grip a flower, and it's like their thumb comes out of nowhere. Suddenly he has opposable thumbs and he can grip the flower. He just yanks it. Before I can even notice. He's so dexterous. Sky Guardian, you ask, which is my favorite between the two if I had to choose? Well, there are different parts of them that I have different favorites for. Sandy is my favorite for being the goofy one. And Shadow is my favorite for being the very I don't know how to describe Shadow. I love him for his earnestness. He's very earnest. They are Pinky and the Brain. Absolutely. Was that Sandy in my Instagram story today? Did I post a picture of Sandy or Shadow? No, I don't. No, I posted a video of someone holding a cat next to a bush and making the buzzing sound like a bee. If that were Sandy, he'd be eating all the flowers on the bush. But no, that was a meme. Sky Guardian, you share. It's 2 hours. Let's just start to land the plane for my phone call. And for your bedtime. Alright. Yes. Let us begin to land the plane. Saturnus, you thought I said I love him for his furnessness. They do have wonderful fur patterns. I like that. And thank you, John Simon, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Alright. Now we'll be beginning to wrap things up for tonight, but there are a few things that I'd like to go through with you together. I would like to ask you all my question of the day again, and then we'll finally finish reading Roar the Ganges, and I have a little surprise for you with that, and then we'll do a mantra session together, a good classic mantra session. And I agree, Feline, I love when they are purring. Or did you say pursing? You said pursing. When they're pursing their lips. I've seen the videos of cats pursing their lips when they're using the litter box, and it's so funny. It looks like they're making the, what's it called? The Sigma male face. Now, in completely unrelated terms, I am wondering for you today, what is your message for everyone here? Consider the fact that so many people are scrolling TikTok, joining, leaving. If you could have their attention for just the second that they take during this live stream, what would you want them to hear? Take a vacation. You need one. Your vacation needs you. And purring, says Feline. Yes, I love when they're purring too. Vistiel says, look in the mirror. It's a very interesting one. Look in the mirror. I'm curious where that one came from. Gaily you share, love wins. That boy Drew, you share, to love God. Jade, you share, pray for peace. Vanessa, you share, be kind to yourself. And Gardening Gregar G, you share, to remember that love is the key to help humanity evolve into our highest selves. Aquarius Lady, you share, don't be afraid to change your life. John Simon, you share, our lives might just be a vacation in the material world for our souls. I love that. Anthony, you share, do your best. That's good enough. Donsuela, you share, that your presence in the world is needed, and that's why you are here. Strung by Stacy, you share, be well and kind of well. I love that. Secura, you share, meditating mantras and the messages from the book. "31 Planes, you share, it's all going to be okay. Gemma, you share, you think life is a lot more fun when you enjoy life's simple pleasures as they come. And I agree with that. Like a suit, says Vistiel. Gotcha, look in the mirror like a suit. The car doesn't show the mileage. I like that. Never give up, says Arthur. And Larissa, you share, take the time to love yourself. Alec Christian, it's a clever name, I like that actually. You say, believe God has goodness in store for you. And Kimmy, you share, I love you. That's my message. No, it's not. You share, you're having a tough moment. That's okay. That is allowed. And thank you, It's All Legos, for your tiny. Yahoo! Leanne, you share, you are enough. As that means a lot to you. Well, it's true. You are enough. And hello, Vaz High Roller. Sky Guardian, you share, be a vegetarian, would be your message. Feline, you share, be in peace and love and do, say je t'aime, cause it's not when you're I think, I don't know if this was, is this French? Because it's not when your fat end will be dead. Peace and love. I think there is a language barrier again. But I echo your sentiment of peace and love. It's All Legos, you share. Practice the art of loving oneself and whatever arises within each and every moment. Melinda, you share, it's okay to cry. Eva Marie, you share, you are never alone because you are part of the oneness of the universe. That's beautiful. Strung by Stacy, you share, you're not supposed to be happy all the time, so enjoy when you are and wait when you're not. I love that. Lepto, Sion, you share. Breathe in, take control over your life, and take action towards your goal. I love that. And Star Bunny, you share. In life, there's always a choice. Well said. I'm so happy that these answers are so meaningful to you, Kimmy. They are to me as well. And Anthony, you share. Don't think too much. Relax is the only way to go. I like that. And thank you, Joanna, for your 6 roses as well. Radhe, Radhe. And it's all Legos, you share. Whatever happened in the past, you did the best with what you knew and had, and everything happens the way it's supposed to be. Thank you. I love these answers, everyone. I am in awe of all the love that is inside of you. There is so much love inside you. There is so much love in everyone here. Sometimes it takes a little encouragement to get it out. But what a wonderful place that I'm honored to be a part of. Rias, you share, everything will pass. Some of it like a kidney stone, but it will pass. I love that. And it's law goggles, you share, deep surrender to what is will set you free. Wonderful. And Joanna, you share, your message is to relax. It's not that serious. Wonderful. So, as I mentioned before, we will be reading from the last section of Roar the Ganges. Yesterday we finished the last chapter, but I thought I'd save the final few short pages, which contain an afterword, some more information, and a note about the author. It is very short, but I think it will make for a nice concluding segment of this book. Also, Sky Guardian has sent me a wonderful picture, a picture of Swamiji, its author, who was signing it for me, which I'd love to share with you all. There is a picture of him signing the book for me and through me to all of you. And of course, here is that inscription here, which reads, "To Liam, my full name, with prayer and best wishes, Om Tadatmananda." And of course, as I mentioned, in email with him, he gave permission for me to read this book to all of you. So this book has a kind of vibration to it. And I'm so grateful to have gone through this journey of reading it with you all. And because I don't think I've showed you who Swamiji looks like, I also have a picture of him with his guru. He is on the right there. And there is his guru, Swami Dayananda, which we met through this book as well. That's a lovely picture of them together I found. So without further ado, let us read the In May of 1993, I returned to Arsha Vidya Gurukulam in Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania. I had left as Mark Berrien, Gurukulam manager, and returned as Swami Tadatmananda. Returning to this familiar setting of friends and colleagues after such a transition was a bit strange, for them and for me. Most Gurukulam residents at that time were Westerners. They were accustomed to seeing Indian sannyasis, renunciates, but ironically not to seeing one of their own kind. At first, they did not know how to relate to me. Was I a colleague, manager, sadhu? I reached out to assure them that I was the same person they knew before, in spite of my dramatic change of attire. Not long after my return, other residents came forward to assume responsibility for running the Gurukulam. Frankly, I was delighted to be relieved of my role as manager. It was, without doubt, the most difficult job of my life, far more than the technical challenges I faced as an engineer and consultant in California years before. In retrospect, it seems to me that I was not a particularly adept manager. I lacked the deep maturity and extraordinary people skills that such a job truly requires. Nevertheless, I did the best I could, given my heart, mind, and 12 hours a day to take care of the Gurukulam. Being free of administrative responsibilities was a great blessing for me. It allowed me the opportunity to live a much more contemplative life. My prayer, meditation, and spiritual studies all grew in intensity and depth. I felt it a great privilege to live as a sadhu in the United States. I resumed teaching the classes I had started while still manager. Those classes at the Bethlehem Public Library and East Stroudsburg's University were attended mostly by Western seekers. I arrived at those classes wearing an orange shirt and orange pants. Very peculiar, but less so than wearing a dhoti. Students wanted to learn about my initiation as a sannyasi and seemed to respect my commitment to monastic life. After several weeks, I shed my orange shirt and pants and resumed wearing an orange dhoti and upper cloth. I soon learned to accept the quizzical stares of clueless Pennsylvanians. I sometimes found myself at a service station pumping gas into my car. Fellow drivers found this an amusing sight. Their smiles helped me learn not to be so concerned about other people's judgments. They saw a strange fellow wrapped in orange bedsheets, but they really didn't know me, nor did they know anything about the tradition of sannyasa, renunciation. So how could I blame them for their wrong conclusions? I was called upon more frequently to teach at the Gurukulam. Swami Dayananda was present there only 3 months a year. In his absence, several of his senior disciples came from India to teach in addition to me. Whereas the other Swamis would come to the Gurukulam and return to India after 3 or 4 months, I had the privilege of living there year-round. Each summer, the Gurukulam offered a number of week-long retreats for families who came for programs of Vedanta classes, meditation, and cultural activities. During these camps, I was asked to conduct classes for the many children and teens who accompanied their parents. These youths were from Indian families but raised in this country. The classes were meant to teach them Hindu religion and culture. I was hesitant at first to teach these kids. As an adult, I had very little contact with youngsters. I wondered if I could even relate to them. After getting started, however, I found it easy to engage them in fun and meaningful learning activities. To my surprise, I thoroughly enjoyed teaching children and teens. Even more surprising is how well they seemed to relate to me. Many of them had previously been taught by Swamis from India, whose heavy accents and lack of appreciation for American culture created a sense of alienation. And just as the kids found it difficult to relate with such Swamis, the Swamis found it difficult to relate to kids who were religiously Hindu but culturally quite American. Fortunately for me, the kids who came to the Gurukulam and I shared a crucial, formative experience. We all grew up in the United States. Year after year, my teaching activities at the Gurukulam and elsewhere grew steadily. People came to the Gurukulam from all corners of the country. Some, after attending my classes, invited me to give programs in their hometowns. Before long, I was traveling to cities around the country to conduct Vedanta seminars, meditation workshops, and classes for children and teens. In addition to these teaching activities, I was able to organize and conduct 2 yatras, pilgrimages, to India for students from the Gurukulam. As time allowed, I also wrote articles, translated texts, and composed songs for children. Many attendees of Arsha Vidya Gurukulam Sunday morning program travel from central New Jersey, where a large Indian community lives. I observed that enthusiastic new students would attend regularly for several months, and then they would stop coming. The long drive of 1.5 hours each way proved to be too much for all but the most devoted students. Devoted devotees. I frequently taught in central New Jersey, so I asked some of my students who lived there if a need existed for an ashram in their community, a local branch of the Gurukulam where they could regularly attend programs. They were excited by the idea and ready to help make it a reality. A dedicated student from New Jersey offered to help me find a suitable location to establish an ashram. After many months, an ideal site was found in Somerset. In June of 2000, with Swami Dayananda's blessings, I left Arsha Vidya Gurukulam and moved to the site of the new ashram in New Jersey. I left with mixed feelings. The Gurukulam had been my home for the past 14 years, a time of tremendous spiritual growth. I was sad to leave, yet I looked forward to teaching the many eager students waiting in New Jersey. On September 16th, 2000, Swami Dayananda came to inaugurate our newly established ashram. He named it Arsha Bodha Center, a center for wisdom, Bodha, of the ancient sages, Arsha. Classes started immediately in a hall no larger than a big living room. It was soon filled beyond its capacity. Due to the community's enthusiastic response and generous support, we were soon able to construct a beautiful new lecture hall, temple, and spacious parking lot. Today, hundreds of adults, teens, and children come each week for a variety of programs on the Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta, meditation, Sanskrit, Vedic chanting, and more. At first I was surprised by how quickly our ashram grew, but in retrospect, it was to be expected. About 100,000 Hindus live in central New Jersey. At least 8 Hindu temples have been built nearby. Yet for those who want to study Vedanta and Sanskrit, these temples offer little or nothing. Most temples also fail to address the needs of children and teens. The community had many places of worship, but was thirsty for a place of spiritual learning. Thank you for your love, Billy and everyone. The Arsha Bodha Center has become a blessing not only for the local community, but for me as well. It provides a beautiful, serene place for my spiritual practice and affords me the opportunity to share what I have learned with so many wonderful and devoted students. I am deeply grateful for the community's participation and support. And one of such devoted students of the Arsha Bodha Center and disciple of Swamiji is none other than Sky Guardian, without whom we certainly wouldn't be reading this book today, especially not an autographed copy. So thank you. And I am so grateful that he was called to make an ashram in New Jersey so that I could also meet Sky Guardian over the internet, of course. By the way, Sky Guardian loves sending me all the comments about his guru and how people love the book on our YouTube channel. So if you want to send some love that way, please feel free to make a comment on the YouTube videos where we upload this series, and it would very much make his day by knowing that he was able to do some Guru Seva, some selfless service for his spiritual teacher. Now that's the end of the afterword. Just a quick note on further information. For more information about Swami Tadatmananda and his teachings, please visit our website www.arshabodha.org. You will find many articles and hundreds of hours of recorded lectures freely available for listening or downloading. There's also the Arsha Bodha YouTube channel, which is where I first came to know about Swami Tadatmananda in my study of Sanskrit and Vedic literature. Some wonderful YouTube videos. Swamiji, having a background in computer science, has really put it to use in the high quality videos that he makes on his YouTube channel. And the author may be contacted through this address, which I will leave it to you to discover if you want to contact him. Finally, our little blurb about the author. And this will be the final page and a half that we read. Swami Tadatmananda was born in 1953 to Christian parents in the suburbs of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He grew up during the tumultuous 1960s, a time of anti-war protests, experimentation with drugs, and spiritual exploration. Sounds a lot like today, doesn't it? After getting married and receiving a degree in electrical engineering, he moved to California and worked in the computer field. There, his marriage soon ended, but he found the opportunity to practice meditation and yoga under the guidance of several teachers from India. In 1981, he met Swami Dayananda, a traditional teacher of Vedanta. He studied Vedanta and Sanskrit under Swami Dayananda's tutelage. I love that word, tutelage, and went to India for further studies in 1986. He then left his home and successful career to move to Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, an ashram in Pennsylvania's Pocono Mountains, to undertake a 3-year residential course in Vedanta, meditation, and Sanskrit, taught by Swami Dayananda. Soon after the course, he assumed the responsibility for managing Arsha Vidya Gurukulam. In 1993, he was initiated as a sannyasi, a Hindu monk, by Swami Dayananda on the banks of the Ganges River in Rishikesh. He then began to teach at Arsha Vidya Gurukulam and throughout the United States, giving lectures, seminars, and meditation workshops for various organizations, temples, universities, and industries. Finally, in 2000, with the blessings of his guru, Swami Dayananda, he established his own ashram, the Arsha Bodha Center in Somerset, New Jersey, where he continues to teach. The end. And that was literally the last page of the book. Now, now that we have thoroughly read this book, we can really transition to reading our next book, that is In Love at Ease, tomorrow. And hopefully we'll be beginning to understand some of the spiritual teachings of a whole different style of spirituality that focuses first on bhakti and seva. That'll be very interesting. So thank you for listening, everyone. It's all Legos, you ask. Can you make a recommendation or a request? Absolutely. Yes, do share. As I said before, we will be closing tonight's session with a chanting. We'll be doing a mantra for Vasudeva, a form of Vishnu. But I'll wait until I read It's All Ego's request. In the meantime, Feline asks, Yam, what does Shanghai mean, please? I don't know. It is a place. But what is the etymology of this place name? Oh, Sangha. Are you wondering about Sangha? I understand. Autocorrect. Sangha means association, literally. It means the kind of company that you identify with, that you keep around you. There are two kinds of Sangha. There's Kusang and Satsang. Kusang is bad company. Bad influences. Satsang is true company. Good influences. I've titled this live stream as a Sangha because, that's what it is. It's an association. Not a formal one, but we are associated in our spiritual paths. Whether it is a satsang or a kusang, that's not up for me to decide. But I hope to be a good influence, if any. And It's All Legos, you share the book. Whatever arises, Love That by Matt Kahn. You've been thoroughly enjoying his teachings lately. Thank you. I will put it in my list. I have a list of all of your recommendations on my phone, and I slowly go through it. It may take a while for us to read through In Love at Ease. But if you are patient enough, I am sure that we will get around to sharing some wisdom from it. Even just some snippets here and there. Thank you for your recommendation. Of course. And now, did I thank you? I didn't thank the gifts that were sent whilst I read. Do allow me to do that now. I saw that you purchased a subscription, It's All Legos, and sent 5 tiny dinies. Yippee! And I look forward to connecting with you deeper here. I appreciate the opportunity. And Dob Darker, thank you for that heart me. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Usha, for your 1, 2, 3 roses. Jai Sitaram. And thank you, Faith Daily, for your 5 roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Jessica, thank you for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Liz, for your poutine as well. Such a great gift. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And thank you, Joanna Rubio, for your cloud bread, an ice cream cone, a donut, a finger heart, 6 roses, and a tiny diny. Yahoo! And thank you, Rahina, for your poutine as well. Jai Sitaram. Alright, without further ado, let us engage in our chanting session for tonight, if you're interested. Some people always ask when we begin, what is the importance of chanting? Well, it's up to you what it means to you. Chanting has been something that we've been doing as humanity for, thousands of years to connect with higher states of consciousness. It's a very trance-inducing kind of thing. And the repetition of positive sentiments is very good for the subconscious. I think a lot of scientific literature has been coming out within the last century or so about how repeatedly bringing your mind to such positive attributions can be very good for mental health. As long as you don't go overboard with it, of course. But tonight we'll just do a short little chanting session, and I'll bring up the mantra right now. Here it is in its Sanskrit pronunciation. It definitely will take us a couple times to, get the rhythm and pronunciation. It's a longer one, a little bit, but I'll just attempt it now. Shri Vasudevaya Vimalamrta Dhamma Vasam Narayanam Naraka Tarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Dvibhu Jameva Chatur Bhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanyam Sharanam Prapadye. Alright, you all memorized that? Good. Just kidding. We'll have someone listening, someone we can listen to in the background while we do it. And here is the English translation. It means something like, I take refuge in you, the son of bhakti, devotion, and dharma, righteousness, who resides in the pure nectar-like abode of Sri Vasudeva, known by the name Narayan, the savior from hell, who is dark and fair, with 2 arms. Vishnu has a whole assortment of different forms, some with different amount of arms, some with 4, some with 1,000. We got to specify which form. We're talking to the most personal form, the one with 2, the one that we can relate to. Okay, let me maximize the audio that we can chant along with. And did I miss the 4 arms? Yeah. Chatur Bhujam. Chatur does mean 4. Who knows where this Sanskrit translation came from? But we'll go with it. Thank you for that observation, though. Tattvamasi. Or Yeah, thank you. All right. I believe this chanting is a little fast, so don't worry so much about pronunciation. Just go with the flow.
Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam Vibhujameva Chaturbhujam Cha Tvam Bhakti Dharma Tanayam Sharanam Prapadye Vasudeva Vimalamrutadham Vasam Narayanam Narakatarana Namadheyam Shyamam Sitam चतुर्भुजं च त्वां भक्तिधर्मतनयं शरणं प्रपद्ये.
That was lovely. And yes, it was a challenging one. I agree, Anna. But I enjoyed it very much. And I see that when Sky Guardian sent this for us to chant, I guess it did get cut off, the translation, almost perfectly. It's supposed to say with 2 arms and also 4 arms. The text widget here in TikTok, I guess got perfectly cut off while I was pasting it. I definitely didn't notice. I guess there is a little space between the final S and the quotation mark. But that's a nice coincidence. But I'm glad to see that corrected, that also with 4 arms we are referring to. That's a good observation, Tattvamasi. I don't think I would have noticed without that. So thank you. Thank you for chanting, or attempting to chant. I certainly had a bit of a struggle in the first few rounds, but I love trying my best regardless. So thank you. Even for listening or just being a part. And thank you, Elect Christian, for your hand hearts a moment ago. And a heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. And up the freeway. Thank you for your heart me. Jai Sita Ram. And thank you, Ginseng, for your 6 roses. Radhe Radhe. Now we will be ending this live stream today. And as always, I will be uploading the recording of this live to my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel. There you can check out the full live and any other live that we've done. Also in the description is an ever-evolving chaptering system, down to the minute. So if ever there is a section or a topic that was brought up that you'd like to be best interested by, then you're welcome to click on the exact timestamp gauged by the title of each chapter. Also, there we have the chanting sessions, as well as the reading sessions clipped out in dedicated playlists. So there's basically free audiobooks there that are, a little rough because they're done live, but might as well make the most use out of them. And finally, there's my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel that is paired with the Yamsox ASMR channel, I meant to say. The second link in the link tree in my bio. We've been reading through the ASMR Bhagavad Gita. What is the ASMR Bhagavad Gita? Well, it's the regular Bhagavad Gita. I just whisper it. And I also put some rain sounds in the background. So it's a relaxing experience to read through one of humanity's oldest how-to guides on human existence and our own spirituality. Some other good stuff happens there too. I recommend checking it out if you have an interest both in ASMR and spirituality. Namaste, Barbara. And Feline, you share that you don't know why you can't send me roses tonight. That's okay. Here, I'll tell you what, you can just type them in chat. You can send me a rose emoji. That's enough. And even if that didn't work, it's the intention that counts. Thank you, G to Infinity. Thank you, Hannah May. And Hannah May, you also sent a heart me and a rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, Gregor G, for your rose and tiny dinies. And Tatvamasi. Thank you for your quintet of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Strung by Stacy. Thank you for your rose. Thank you for your energy roses feline. And Strung by Stacy for your flower emojis. And Kalki G. Thank you for your finger heart. And Tiny Diny. Yippee! As well as another finger heart and a rose. Jai Kalki Ji. And Mr. Mate, thank you for your pair of roses. And thank you, the link below, for your poutine. I gotta look closer at that gift. It really is just a picture of poutine with some gravy being dumped on it, I think. That's awesome. And thank you, Brenda T. And Gemma and Anthony for your roses. Radhe or Radhe. Anime, you ask, where am I? Yes, Secure answered correctly. I am in Canada. You are in the UK. Well, happy to bridge such an international audience with you. At the end of the month, from I think the 24th all the way to the 30th, or the 25th if there's 31 days. I don't know my months. What I do know is this, that in the last 7 days of the month, I do earlier times for my early time zone viewers, since it's the middle of the night for you in the UK, I gather. But you are in the hospital. Well, I'm glad that you're getting yourself occupied by distracting yourself. That's very understandable. And all my best wishes and prayers to you as well. It is an awesome gift, the poutine, for a Canadian especially. Now, the last thing I have to share is that if you ever want your own Yamsox, which are the very goofy apparel items that I sell in the store section of my Linktree, that are also on this microphone here, you are welcome to them. Also, besides that, is a toque with the tiny tiny on it. And this one is saying, yippee! And I recognize that although it is never necessary or expected by any means, if you are inclined to support me, this is a way that I would feel comfortable if you feel like you want something physical in return, because I understand the value of having something back that you can, hold or even wear. Right now, although I don't need money in my life by any means, I am preparing for a trip to India, and this is my main means of funding for it, which is blowing me away. I never expected I could do it, but I've got everything covered practically by now. Saved up more than 2,000 Canadian dollars for this adventure, which is probably enough. I still have to double check a few things, but yes, I am humbled. I am floored by all of your support, and I look forward to taking you all with me on my journey in the way I can, digitally, through my online presence. And with that, I bid you farewell. I thank you all for coming here. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to connect with you in the way that I can. I will upload this live, as I said, and it will be done as an offering to Sri Radha Krishna, which represent the divine mother, father, feminine, masculinity, in their all attractive form. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna Radhe 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 Shyam Radhe Shyam 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 Radhe Radhe. And much love to you, Don Suela. Thank you. Apple user, you ask, after all the words I spoke, how do I feel? I feel like my tongue could use some rest, so I'm going to give it some. Best wishes to all of you. Much love, and thank you, Strung by Stacy, for your final 7 roses. Radhe Radhe. May you all have a beautiful rest of your present moment.